Welcome to the end zone. I'm Rob.
And I'm Ray, and today we're going to be talking about our Week 9 recap. And we're remote again today. Unfortunately, I don't know if you guys, if you guys are here locally, here in Ventura County, there's a big fire going on. That's over 14,000 acres already. So that kind of adds some constraint for us getting together. And yeah, so
Yeah.
for those of you that don't know that are viewing in, yeah, there's a big time fire out here in Ventura County where we live, and hopefully it gets cleared up. Today's Thursday right now, so it's been burning since yesterday morning. So hopefully it gets cleared up. There's been a lot of crazy winds and whatnot. So, but anyways, it's nice being here this morning despite all that. Talking about some week 9 recap. So, how was your week 9?
Do I have to talk about it? I had a good scoring week, but I was on the losing end, unfortunately. Um, I was down about 50 points going into Monday night with Mahomes and Kelsey going, and I came up short. Mistakes were made on my part. If I started Darnell Mooney, I actually win the matchup. I lost 132.16 to 127.56. And so Mahomes throws a touchdown instead of Kareem Hunt running it in to win that OT game against Tampa Bay. That would have been
Yeah.
pretty nice because that would have been a good come from behind victory. But all in all, my team performed pretty well. Patrick Mahomes had his best game of the season so far with 3 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Yep.
Kelsey continuing to be on the rise in that offense, especially with DeAndre Hopkins, man. I mean, guy had 2 touchdowns himself. So yeah, Kelsey had 14 receptions, 100 yards receiving, no touchdown, but still a great performance. I went with, Jamar Chase, Khalil Shakir. Shakir was he did okay. I mean, he got me 8 points, 6 receptions, 50 yards, but if I would have started Darnell Mooney, he had 5 receptions, 88 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
And I've been kind of on the fence of starting him, but yeah, he's going forward, he's definitely in. So how
There you
was your
go.
week?
Well, I guess I can shout myself out. Got the top score of the week again this past week. So, uh, looking at my score, 154.74. And I had Jane Daniels, Justin Jefferson, Malik Neighbors, Jonathan Taylor, Devon Achan, David Njoku, J.K. Dobbins, Austin Seibert, and I put the Chargers defense against Jameis Winston, and that was really probably my play of the week. They got 27 points for me based off our scoring league. But yeah, it was a nice second week in a row high score victory. So my team looks like, how I've been wanting it to all season. Now that everybody's healthy, everybody's playing, it feels nice to be, back to where I want it to be. So now I'm actually went from last place to fifth place now. So uh slowly clawing my way back and, just trying to stay in the mix and push for the
Right,
late season. So it felt good though.
right. Yeah, good for you. Overall, fantasy wise, I'm fifth in points in league, so but I'm still in ninth place. But I'm one win away from jumping in the mix for the playoff spots. So, I'm hoping I can claw my way in, top six going into the playoffs. So right now I'm coming from the bottom, and kind of, recapping this week, Smith and Jigba, that guy had a monster game. He had 13 targets, 7 receptions, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns in a losing effort. Seattle losing to the Rams, but man, I think from a receiver standpoint, he had the biggest day of all.
Man,
The
he looked
Zay
good.
Flowers, yeah, Zay Flowers came in with 5 receptions, 127 yards, 2 touchdowns himself. One of those was a 40-yard touchdown pass, so those bonus points there. Demarcus Robinson, another 2 touchdown effort for the Rams, 6 receptions, 94 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So if you're looking for some receiver help, could be a viable option. DeAndre Hopkins, 8 receptions, 86 yards, 2 touchdowns. So yeah, there was a lot of good performers. Some big injuries again. Chris Olave going
Yeah.
down with that concussion. The hit he got sandwiched by the corner and the safety. It didn't look as bad as it was, the result of the play. So, it's unfortunate that that happened. So that's a pretty big loss for New Orleans, especially with Carr coming back. So that was a big one.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
So
pretty, man, it was early in the game too, and uh I saw that, I was like, oh man, it looked like he was down for a while, for a few minutes, and then they had to get the medical team out there. So hopefully he's gonna recover and be okay.
yeah,
It's funny too because our producer Gabby, my fiance, she originally I was like, man, you might want to start Chris Olave against Carolina. So we were kind of debating between him and Garrett Wilson. Originally, I took Garrett Wilson out for like a split second. I was like, all right, I advise her to do that, and then. Um, I was like, you know what? Garrett Wilson's been hot like all year. It seems like, with Adams there, he's been opening up more.
Right,
So maybe you should just roll with Garrett Wilson. And then he ended up getting 25.5 for her. And, Chris Olave obviously 1.8 and got the injury. So ended up working out for her. That's actually her matchup this week, too. I was going to shout it out. Um, she was playing Gila Monsters, who we've been talking about him on the segment, how just he's been rolling, these past few weeks. I mean, he's been up there with the top scorers, and again, 134.7 he scored. But the crazy part is going into Monday night, she was looking for some magic too, like how you were. And she ended up she had Kareem Hunt going and ended up getting that touchdown, which ended up winning her the week or solidifying her week. So the crazy part was it was like, 123. I think she had, and then he had like 127. He had Harrison Butker going. She had Kareem Hunt. So it was like literally down to the wire. And Kareem Hunt at first, he was getting like 1.9, and she was like stressed out of her mind. I was like, hey, you just gotta get some faith out there, right? Just let it
right,
let it run its course, get some faith, get some positive energy. I'm gonna lose again. Oh my gosh. I'm like, you'll be okay. Just you gotta trust him, you gotta trust him. And the game ended up going to overtime. And so that was like her saving grace because I think at that time she was down maybe like 2.2 points or something like that. And Kareem Hunt, it was funny. So I put my daughter down to sleep and I had my phone out. I had the game on my phone through the NFL app. And I was about to walk out there and finish the game with her, but then I saw Kareem Hunt catch a pass and like, he started like doing his thing. And I was like, because she wanted to watch the game, but I was watching it and I was like, I think I'm just gonna stay in here for a second. I don't want to go jinx it, because he caught a pass and then he ran like a 6 yard run or something like that, and then he ended up scoring the touchdown. And then she was all excited because she kept refreshing her phone to check the score. So it was pretty funny. But yeah, she ended up pulling it out,
right.
and she was very excited. So I was happy for her.
Yeah.
That's
Can we
always
talk
nice.
about Saquon Barkley and the freaking probably one of the best runs I've ever seen?
Oh, you're talking about the backwards
or the
hurdle? Yeah,
Yeah, I mean that one. I mean he literally jukes a guy, spins a guy, and then hurdles over a guy backwards. I mean it was like maybe 7 or 8 yards. Was probably one of the most exciting plays I've seen in a long time. So
yeah,
that was pretty wild.
gosh, he's looking so good with the Eagles. It's nice seeing him like actually perform how everybody wanted him to, like his whole career.
Yeah, he was running back one and scoring this past week with 31.4. He had 159 yards rushing and a touchdown on 27 carries, 3 receptions for 40 yards and a touchdown. So he did lose a fumble, but still, man, it's a great performance for Saquon Barkley, and hats off for that. I mean, that was probably one of the most exciting plays. And then Wilson's catch uh, on Thursday,
Oh
that one
yeah,
was pretty amazing too. So it was almost like a new, it's like an
man.
NBA slash NFL type logo merging together.
Yeah, dude, that Garrett Wilson catch was sick. Did you see that the Devontae Smith catch too for the Eagles game?
No,
He
I
did
didn't
like
see
a
that one.
one-hander in the back of the end zone as well. It was pretty. I couldn't believe he caught it. I was like, holy cow, what a catch!
Yeah. And then Devon Achan, it was nice to see him have a good game, even though the Dolphins lost to the Bills. They were It was a competitive game. They lost by 3, so that was good. Good to see them kind of fighting.
Yeah,
Your boy Achan, 12 carries, 63 yards, a touchdown, 8 receptions for 58 yards and a touchdown.
yeah,
So great production for the Miami's running back.
yeah. Devon Achane though, he looks super good for the Fins. I mean, he looks like he's nice and healthy and just ready to go. Um, yeah, there was some pretty good matchups though. I know Saints and Panthers was a close one. Bryce Young kind of looked pretty good there. Xavier Legette caught another touchdown, so I mentioned him on the Instagram that, if you're looking maybe for some receiver help, he might be the guy since they traded Deontay Johnson out. Um, and then man, what about how about Mr. Caleb Williams? He struggled, and Jordan Love as well. A couple quarterbacks kind of struggling a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the conditions in Green Bay were kind of rough, so it seemed like the weather might have played a factor. I mean, yeah, they struggled. It'd be interesting to see how they bounce back. You know, um, from selfish reasons, Reed finally had a good game, so
Yeah, he looked good.
so he performed well for me. But yeah, it was it'll be interesting to see what happens this week because the Patriots and Bears, the Patriots have been playing, even though they're 2-7, they've been playing surprisingly good. I think this will be a good matchup for both of those
I think
teams,
so too.
especially with those young quarterbacks, you know. And so with May and Williams going head to head, it's going to be pretty interesting to see who can come out on top and how they each one of those teams perform.
Yeah, yeah. Drake May has been kind of sneaky good. I think, this is obviously gonna be his toughest test. That Bears defense is so stout. I think Caleb edges him just from the sake of the defense perspective. But I think it should definitely be a close matchup. I don't think it's gonna be ultra high scoring, but you never know, I guess, in football. So um somebody
Very
that's on
true.
the up and coming though for this next week, if you need a tight end, is Mike Gesicki. He looked good against the Raiders. He had 5 catches, 100 yards, two tutties. Um, and he plays Baltimore, who's not the best against tight ends. And another analysis I have for Gesicki, and it was kind of like an early season analysis as well, is um, when T. Higgins is out, I think he's the biggest beneficiary because, Joe Burrow, he kind of likes to target tight ends. And another factor now, too, is the rookie Eric All Jr. that was kind of taking away snaps from Gesicki is out. I think he's on the IR for the year. Um, so now Gesicki, I think, he's in kind of another prime spot. I don't know if he could do 5 catches, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns again, but, just if you need a tight end for a solid play, I think he's definitely a guy you should consider.
Yeah, that's a good point. He was number one tight end scoring in our league this past week, 26.5 points. So I'm kind of one of the things I kind of struggle with too is I picked up Kate Otten, right? And he had another good week, 8 receptions, 77 yards, and a touchdown. But with the receivers that I have and the running backs, I've been kind of reluctant to play two tight ends with Kelsey and Otten. But I'm almost to the point where I might need to just kind of consider putting them in over a running back
Yeah,
because it seems like every week he's catching a touchdown. And they got the Niners this week, and oh man, please, please, CMC, come back to me, please.
he's.
I need
I think he
you.
will. I think he will. I think
So
he's supposedly they said, they tested him out Monday. He had no pain, so I think they're gonna probably keep him limited. But the only thing is, man, with Shanahan's injury reports, it's kind of hard to gauge like what's real and what's not, man, after all the early
yeah,
season stuff that's been going on. But I think if he says, there's no pain, I think that's pretty honest, and he should probably be good to go.
yeah.
Um,
And I think for Tampa Bay Z, I think that's a good matchup for him too, coming off the bye week, and he hasn't played all
definitely.
season. He's been resting and working. So he was limited yesterday in practice. We'll see how if he gets a full participant award today. But he came off the the IR list, so that's good. So they have 21 days to really activate
Hmm.
him. So that's a good sign. So he's trending in the right direction, but I'm just, man, I need him so bad, especially with bye
Yeah.
weeks. No, I just, yeah. So I'm just hoping that I can get him back, and get my team rolling again. So I'm gonna, stick with Mahomes again this week. He's got a better matchup than Baker does against that Niner D. I mean, Denver's got a tough defense, but Mahomes seems like he's starting to roll now, especially with D Hop on the team. And I think him and Kelsey are finally starting to click. And Kelsey's due for one of those two touchdown games.
I
So
think
I'm going to try to piggyback the
I
pairing.
think especially with Denver, like, you got Pastor Tan, so on the outside it'll be a little tougher for Hopkins to probably produce. So that might open up Kelsey more too. Um,
Yeah.
and then Bo Nix too, like he's been kind of a sneaky keep them in the game quarterback, so or at least, like a scrappy quarterback. So I mean, could be a pretty pass heavy game for Mahomes. And one thing that he said too to get back on track was he's just not trying to force the big play. I think he's just letting the game come to him more now instead of trying to force things, which obviously we saw this last game when Patrick Mahomes is comfortable. I mean, he's arguably one of the best, top five fantasy quarterbacks to have. So it was nice seeing him get back on track. And that was one thing I said last week when I know you're kind of like, I think you were probably joking about dropping him, but I was like, I think he's due for, some of his games. Like the law of averages have to play out at some point, and, you know, he's too good just to keep not doing good or like, producing at a high level.
Yeah. And, he's finally got to the point now where he's got more touchdowns than interceptions. they had early on struggles, especially when the receiving core was so
Yeah.
depleted. Then it's like your running game was kind of meh. When you lost Pacheco, and then they got Kareem Hunt. It took him a little while to get in, but he got it back into the groove pretty quick. But then receiver help, once D Hop came, it kind of
Oh
transforms
man,
things, and
that's huge.
you know, yeah, and then he's had over the past couple years, they've had issues with guys, hitting guys in the hands, and then those balls getting tipped up for interceptions. So and there's still been drop issues a little bit this year, but it's kind of nice to see him kind of righting the ship a little bit, and have a clean game and pass for almost 300 yards. So, and I'm hoping he's going to continue
Yeah.
against Denver this
One
week.
thing that was nice to see too was he threw a deep ball to Hopkins, and Hopkins like in double coverage. I mean, it was an absolute perfect throw, and Hopkins, made the catch. And like you're saying, those guys, if it's not Hopkins, it's probably like a drop at least 90% of the time. But now he's got a guy that could actually catch the damn ball. It's like it's gonna make a
And in
huge,
traffic.
yeah. Like it was a beautiful throw, and then even amazing catch. So it was like, dude, like you're just seeing that potential. I mean, it's just it was pretty wild. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
do you have any guys that maybe you see that are on the up and coming, or that you'd recommend to check out maybe for your Week 10 matchups?
Well, for my team, I'm sticking with the guys that I have, but I've talked about Demarcus Robinson. I think he another good game, and then I think Lad McConkey, man, that guy's been pretty scrappy, and Quentin Johnston
Yeah.
for the Chargers. Another guy that had a great week, and he's been putting back to back weeks together, which has been really nice to see. Um, from a running back standpoint, it's kind of slim pickings. I think at this point, guys like Chase Brown have already been gobbled up,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
you know, yeah. So it's kind of hard from a running back standpoint, but I think from a receiver standpoint, I like Robinson and I like Johnston especially.
Yeah, I think
How about you? Anybody you're kind of seeing that might be a free agent that could maybe help somebody that's got some trouble?
I think if you're looking for quarterback help, if you need an emergency guy, I think Daniel Jones might be a solid bet this week against Carolina. You know, he's not the sexiest quarterback to have on your team, but he's got rushing upside. Carolina's defense isn't really the best this year. He's got Malik Neighbors, Tyrone Tracy, so he's got weapons. One guy that's really on the up and coming that, he's been an elite quarterback before, but kind of has been forgotten about this year is Justin Herbert. I think he's starting to get into his groove with Harbaugh's offense. And like you said, Quentin Johnston's been emerging this year as that kind of number one receiver that they were hoping for. So, and then you got McConkey there too, who's a slot guy that's always open. So he's got a safety valve there. J.K. Dobbins running good, with the ball. So, I think Justin
Right.
Herbert's been on the up and coming, so if he's available, he most likely could be. It's like 50-50 shot maybe if you need a guy. He could be okay. I think he's someone to look out for. In terms of position players, I mean, it's getting tougher. Josh Downs was probably already owned. Quentin Johnston was one guy that I had an eye on. If Calvin Ridley's available, I feel like he's on the up and coming. Um, I feel like, he's I mean, no D Hop there. He's just like the number one guy by default. Xavier Legette, I had mentioned. But just really looking, I mean, at this list, there's nobody like
Yeah.
really that's gonna probably change your team besides maybe Mike Gesicki this week. I think he'd probably be like
Yeah.
my
So
favorite guy.
another guy that's kind of been up and coming too is Cedric Tillman.
Yes,
With
actually, he's
Jameis Winston being in under center, and then Amari Cooper gone, so he's kind of the guy over in Cleveland. So he's had the last 3 weeks. He's had multiple double digit points. He's had 3 touchdowns the last 2 weeks. So I think that could be another guy that's a good sleeper pick if you need some receiver help for sure.
yeah, I think he is obviously, he's got the bye this week, so he'll be a stash. If you want a super under the radar guy, Juwan Johnson for the Saints could be another answer. He's a tight end also, but with Chris Olave out. Derek Carr likes to throw the ball. He's gonna need to throw it to somebody. I think, Jawan Johnson should see an uptick. And if Cedric Wilson plays, he could be a sneaky guy, but he's been banged up, so I don't know if he's gonna play. But yeah, Jatavion Sanders too for the Panthers. He's been on the upward trend. But in terms of my preparation for Week 10, I'm probably gonna just roll with my guys. I mean, I got Jefferson, Neighbors, Achan, Taylor. I actually picked up Hunter Henry too. I don't know if he's available anywhere too. He's a must pick up. Actually, I forgot to mention
Yeah.
him. He's like literally a must pick up. Um, he's been balling out. I mean, since Drake May has taken over and they're playing Chicago, so that bodes well for him because Chicago's secondary is really good. So they're gonna need to, get Drake May the ball out quickly uh, with that pass rush as well. So I think Hunter Henry has another pretty solid game. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I picked up Hunter Henry. I have J.K. Dobbins in my flex right now against Tennessee. Between him and Tyrone Tracy Jr. against Carolina, it's kind of a coin flip for me. I feel like, Dobbins is in the better offensive situation, and I think, they should beat Tennessee, but also I'm like, Carolina's just so bad against the run, so I might switch out Tracy last second. It's still kind of a coin flip and going to come down to the wire.
Hmm.
But I feel pretty good going into this week, so I'm not going to change too much. I have Jane Daniels against Pittsburgh, which I may be a little nervous about, but I feel like his rushing alone just keeps him like a decent option to keep playing no matter the matchup. So
Right. I think that's good. Yeah. For me, my running backs, Connor, McCaffrey, and Harris, those are the three that I have going this week. I'm still kind of on the bubble of, again, Kate Otten, man, against San Francisco. I think, with that, if it turns into a shootout, and Baker's going to be needing to pass, that's kind of like his security blanket right now without Mike Williams and Godwin. So he's been getting a lot of the premier targets, especially in the red zone. So it could be a little move I might do to put him in the flex and just roll with two running backs. I got Jamar Chase going against Baltimore tonight, so you know we'll see if it's a big game for him. He kind of had a little bit of a letdown last week. Thought he's going to have a bigger game than he did, but regardless, he's one of the top scoring fantasy receivers this year.
I
So
think he's
got to stick with
I
my
think he's
horse.
definitely due for a bounce back because Baltimore's pass defense has just been so bad. I think Jamar
Yeah,
Chase, he's had history of performing well against Baltimore as well. So I think, he should
yeah,
be a good option tonight for sure. Another matchup too. I'm curious how the Dolphins are going to be against the Rams, like how that matchup's going to turn out Monday night. So I'm hoping Dolphins could get some victory finally, especially after playing Buffalo and we almost beat them. Surprisingly, Tua looked actually really good against Buffalo. I'm like, hopefully we could beat the Rams this time.
yeah. That'll be nice. They're over here and at SoFi, so I'm kind of trying to see if I can find a good deal on some tickets. Maybe we can get over to the game on a Monday night. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
It's expensive though,
That's the only
so
bad.
so we'll
Football games are
we'll
definitely
see.
expensive. It's not as cheap as like baseball and basketball.
Yeah, yeah. The Detroit Lions and Texans games, on Sunday night should be pretty good, but CJ Stroud looks a little lost without Nico Collins, and then Diggs is out for the season, so you know Nico didn't practice yesterday, so we'll see if he gets on to the field this weekend, but he still might be a week or two away from actually getting back out there.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think if Nico's in, it's going to be a more of a heavyweight battle. But without Nico, I think it's going to just be Detroit all the way.
yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, Nixon's been running the ball well for them,
yeah,
but yeah, I think we're not having, with the firepower that Detroit and, Jared Goff, I mean, you almost got to consider him for MVP, because he's not flashy, but he's just consistent, and that team is just consistently rolling, on his shoulders. So,
yeah. He's just doing what he needs to do, right? I mean, he's staying efficient. You got the run game that helps. Just don't turn the ball over and. Uh, you got big play receivers. Now they get Jamison Williams back. So I'm curious to see how he's going to be after all this stuff that came up. If he's just still going to be performing or if it's going to ruin his season. But it'll be nice to see like how he bounces back too. And but yeah, Detroit's looking really good this year. I don't know if they're really going to be a Super Bowl team, but I think they're still. I think losing Aiden Hutchinson kind of ruined that, even though they traded for Zadarius Smith. But it's nice to see like Detroit after all the years of struggle, kind of finding their footing and consistency. And I really feel like it all is credited Dan Campbell at the coach, man. I feel like he brings that energy, he
Yeah,
brings the most out of his guys, and he's developing a consistent system and culture in Detroit. So I feel like they're going to be a team to be reckoned with for the next few years.
yeah, I think so too. Yeah, so I think from the game standpoint, yeah, I think that's probably I don't know. I think tonight's game is probably like one of the biggest ones this week, the Bengals and Baltimore. And then, I like the Detroit Texans, but with the Texans kind of on a downward trend right now, I think Detroit's going to take that. But from a powerhouse standpoint, the Vikings are still looking tough. But yeah, I think the Ravens with that running game with Derrick Henry, I kind of feel like Derrick Henry might be taking away Lamar's MVP magic because they're both so dynamic right now in the same offense. So we could end up with co-MVPs this year with Lamar and Derrick
Man,
Henry
yeah,
if they
the
continue.
whole the
So,
whole unit that they bring to that offense.
yeah,
Yeah, I was actually talking to
yeah.
you
So
this morning about that. I was like, uh, I feel like with Derrick Henry just opens up so much for that offense. So you're seeing, I feel like Lamar's best football because all the pressure's off him. I mean,
yeah,
Baltimore's always had a good run game, but now you get that elite running back in there that's, been one of the best for so many years. It's just how do you stop the offense? He's such a power guy. He could break the big runs, and then you
yeah,
also got to be careful with Lamar's play action and him scrambling out too. So it's like pick your poison. And uh,
yeah.
yeah, Lamar this year he's been so good with Derrick Henry there
Difference maker.
easily. I mean, I feel like Derrick Henry could make any team better. So,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah, as we kind of wrap up, you kind of touched on the mountain fire here in Ventura County, and again, I just want to say our hearts and prayers are with everybody that's either had to evacuate. I know, Grandma Mo's here with the dogs, and we got Rachel here with her cats, and the nephews have evacuated. So I'm hoping that we don't lose another house to a fire, but hearts and prayers are going out to everybody that has lost fires, and hopefully no one's lost their life, and you know, give the firefighters the strength to continue to battle. So it's
yeah.
it's a tough one.
Yeah, it's
So
I just hope it doesn't get as big as like that Thomas fire a few years back.
yeah,
It seems like
yeah,
hopefully it calms down a bit today with the winds dying down, but yeah, it's a scary situation. I mean, it started off like as a brush fire and then all of a sudden that's how it happens with these high winds.
yeah.
So yeah, hopefully everybody's okay too and prayers to their family and themselves, stay safe in
Hmm.
all this crazy conditions.
Yep, yeah. So for me, like I think I'm pretty much covered. Do you have any closing
No,
thoughts?
I feel like we covered everything. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Look forward to the game tonight. Like you said, with Baltimore, Cincinnati. I hope
Yeah.
it's a high scoring game. I feel like the Thursday night games have been pretty good this year. So, looking forward to it. But yeah, just, everyone that's out here in the county, Ventura County, just stay safe out there. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Feel free to subscribe to our YouTube, follow us on Instagram, and we look forward to seeing you guys on the next one.
All right. Thank
All right,
you.
see ya.
Thanks for watching. Bye bye.